it's me, Will.
It's me, Josh.
It's me, Ben.
And we're talking about our games of year 2021. It's a new year for you guys. It's 24th of December for us. But we're here to bring kind of our top 10s of each. And I would like at the end of this, if there's any like crossovers, I'll grab those and just make the ETTO top 10 based on all of our lists and also some Patreon stuff. So there'll be an ETTO top 10 at the end of this. But first, we're going to go through our top 10 games. Overall, though, pretty good year for video games, I would say.
Pretty damn good. There was some good stuff considering, you know, the pandemic last year.
Yep.
Everyone was expecting film and games to be like majorly destroyed this year. I don't feel like it was. There's some like some sketchy stuff in film, I guess, from time to time.
Yeah.
There's some stuff that wasn't so fantastic.
There's been some skatebirds.
There's also been some skatebirds. That's correct.
Yeah.
That game always looked jank, but I was just hoping it was less jank than it looked.
It doesn't deserve to be on most disappointing. It was exactly what you were expected, but kind of. It was still disappointing.
But yeah, overall, surprisingly good year.
I would say so. Ben, any thoughts on this year of games?
Just that it was surprisingly hard to make my list.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like, the thing with this year is there wasn't like any insane, like this is one of the best game ever games.
Yep.
Like you get your Breath of the Wilds and that kind of thing, or you get your God of Wars.
Yep.
But there were so many that were still like really, really, really good that I had like 15 or so that I had to whittle down to about 10 in the end, where I was like, all of you could feasibly be on here. So,
100%.
Yeah, not huge for AAA games.
No,
really.
No. Yeah, but one game that I've already got on my list that is like just a standout that you're just like, how did it happen? How did they make that game this year? There is 3 things that came out this year that should not have worked as well as they did, and they all worked really well. And I'm just, if this year could have sucked, but at least we got those 3 things, and one of those things is in this, and then 2 are in the movies. You'll find out. Let's go for our top 10s, rapid fire until we get to our top 3s. My number 10, and also obviously you will have seen, and if you haven't already, the Back Pocket have done their 2021 videos. My list and Ben, our lists are in there, but we got more time for us. This is our list. We're going to talk more about us this time.
I'm not famous enough to have a list anywhere yet.
Josh doesn't have a list anywhere.
Yeah.
My number 10, I've Little Nightmares 2 is there, but I want to talk about very briefly that Fortnight is my number 10 game of the year because it's just very good. And all the updates they've put in this latest chapter 3 or season 3, whichever, I think it's season 3. I think this is the start of a new season. It's just great. And like, I know that the web swinging thing is a timed, it's part of this it should stay. They should have like a grapple thing that you can pick up that does the same thing, but just avoids Marvel copyright. Because it is phenomenal as a mechanic. And the other beautiful thing about Fortnite is their sound design is incredible. So the fact that you can hear someone web slinging and you're like, oh shit, all right, where are they going to come from?
Yeah, it's really cool. You're like, oh, someone's swinging nearby.
Totally. And it does the thing that I always thought would never work, which is like, you know, the idea of Marvel Spider-Man being co-op. I was like, that's never going to fucking work. You can't have multiple people swinging. But the momentum and like chase you can have with people is so cool. Like when you catch someone, you're like, oh fuck, I'm gonna get this dude, and you're swinging together, and then midair you're trying to shoot them. It's like, it's a phenomenal thing, and I just Fortnite in the final month of the year has captured me once again. So
it's always surprising. Fortnite is always surprising. Every time I jump in, I'm like, generally having a pretty good time.
Yeah, totally. So my number 10.
It's not fair.
No.
My number 10 is Braille Skate Video Tycoon.
All right.
Some of these, okay. So there's a lot of games that I played this year that weren't great.
Yep.
And I would not put on my list.
Yeah.
And towards the bottom of my list were games that I just played a freaking lot of because they were on my phone.
Yep.
And I generally had a pretty good time.
That was game of your year.
So Braille is a skate group. They're like YouTubers, but they kind of like a skate team at the same time. They're almost like a Good Mythical Morning for skateboarding.
Yeah.
And yeah, they put out just an idle game where you basically pretend that you are making YouTube videos.
Yep.
And it's an idle game. You get views and views are your currency. Skaters are like sort of what you put into each video or something to increase the number of views that you get. It's all freaking weird. Premium currencies that you can get through doing like side events and stuff.
No, you gotta let it. I
don't know.
Look, 90% of your gaming year is on your phone. So
Totally.
It's okay.
Yeah.
That's what lands here.
There is a couple of mobile games. They made it on there.
Yep.
And that one is probably one of my most played for the year. So it kind of had to be on the list.
Yep.
I know it's not a good... I know no one's going to go, I'm going to go play that.
I'm so glad Josh
recommended it.
Yeah, totally.
It's here.
It's on the list. That's it. That's all I've got to say about it. Yep. Ben, help.
Well, this is not... I'm just going to shout out Destiny real quick, because Destiny is like all I've been playing.
That's what number 10 is for. It's for the ongoing games.
This isn't even my number 10, but I'm just going to shout it out that I've been playing a lot of Destiny since this last season. Basically, this past week, it's been all I've played.
Fair.
I have a bunch of games I actually want to finish from this year, but I haven't played any of them because I've been playing Destiny. Just like the amount of depth in that game is insane. And that's all I need to say, because most of you probably watch Back Pocket they've said everything to death about Destiny. What my actual number 10 is Kenneth Bridge of Spirits.
There you go.
Yeah. This one was perhaps the most volatile on my list. It went up and around so many times. It was in the top 5 at one point.
It was nearly your number 1 when you were playing it.
Yeah, but it's dropped a long way. It's a great game. I think it's a really good entry into the video game sphere for Ember Lab. I think they are the art style is beautiful, if a bit generic at times. And I will say that by the end of the game, the combat started off feeling quite weightless and not particularly fun. But by the end of the game, once you start unlocking all your abilities and kind of chaining together some combos and stuff and new powers that you unlock, the combat was actually quite rewarding. And some of those end game fights are brutal, but really, really fun. And also, the platforming gets better. That's the other thing I will say. Cool. It was definitely rough at the start, but it gets better.
Did you finish it as well? Yeah. Yeah, cool. Yep.
Yeah. I the one thing I have to say, worst double jump in a video game ever.
Yeah, you hated that from the start.
Yeah.
My number 9 is, I'm not going to talk about it. It Takes Two. Josh, your number 9?
Oh.
I'm not talking about it.
Yeah,
I don't want to talk about it. Everyone's talked about it.
That's true.
And everyone talks about the wrong things. They talk about how the story affects them, and it affected me. I was pissed off.
You're not going to talk about it, Will.
For, like,
decent
mechanics
story.
and gameplay.
Yeah. It's number 9 worth of good mechanics and stuff.
I pushed it off because I was just like, everyone else is going to talk about it, so it doesn't need to be here.
Fair. That's fair. My next one is it's the only other mobile game.
Okay.
Witcher Monster Slayer. I got really into the Witcher Monster Slayer. It was freaking great. I still play it daily, but not as actively as I did at some point where I was going out nearly every day, like walking around doing quests, because you literally have to walk to your quest marker and do it, and then go complete the quest in multiple locations like you would in The Witcher and most like action RPGs and stuff. Very cool. I loved this game. I still do. I don't know if there will be a point in time where I'll go back and play it as actively as I did. But yeah, it had to make my list because I really enjoyed it and championed for it so much throughout the year for people to go try it. Some people downloaded it. I feel like they didn't go out.
I downloaded it.
Actively play it, but
I was like, I'm going to play it with. I'm going to go on walks with Josh. Never did.
No.
Did you ever? Was it as active playing as Pokemon Go? Like, do you think you got into it as much as that for that brief period of time?
I feel like I probably did. Well,
there's more to do, right?
Pokemon Go, I probably would have played more and been more active and outside because I played it with other people.
Yes.
But this one, I didn't have other people to play with, so I was kind of just out by myself, which, it's much less interesting overall. To do that. But I feel like as a lone experience, I feel like I played this more by myself than I would have with with other people. Than like in comparison to Pokemon Go as well. I feel like I didn't go out and walk around by myself playing Pokemon Go all that much. Although in saying that, I did in Melbourne a whole lot whenever there was events. So maybe, but there's not that sort of event, like just
forcing you to go.
Just me going, like sitting at home being like, I've got time to play a video game. I'm going to go outside and do it. But yes, it had to make my list. Yep. That's the last mobile game. The other ones are more interesting. Maybe people will be more interested in hearing it and actually try them if they haven't played them already.
It's true.
Because they're all relatively generic and everyone's played them.
Ben?
My number 9 is Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart.
Hey.
Good.
I assume it's going to be higher on either of your lists, so I'm not going to say anything about it right now. But yeah, it's a great game. It's just this low because I liked other things more. I think the thing I've said to Will and Josh is that it just like it was a great game, but it didn't do anything particularly amazing to beat a lot of these other things.
100%. Very average game for very average boys. My number 8 is Unpacking, which is just it should probably be higher, but I don't know how to rank things properly and I hate doing it. So
me too. Me too.
It's not until you get to top 3 that I'm like, no, I would put these here. Everything below top 3, it's like they're great.
They're all pretty even and just like I thought about this game more times.
This was actually the hardest like 5 to 10 that I've done in a while, where I was like, you could go anywhere.
That's why I put mobile games on there. I played these a lot, so I guess I enjoyed them.
They go down there. So Unpacking, it's great. If you haven't heard everything about this game already, it's an incredible game with a mechanic that just doesn't exist anywhere else, and a story that's I don't think ever been told in the way it's been told. I'm sure games have tried to achieve it, but the subtlety that this kind of life unravels before you is so good. And if you play it, I would definitely recommend playing it in one sitting. It's only about 2 hours. It just helps to kind of entirely grasp what's happening and seeing things evolve as the game goes on. So it's definitely worth a single, and it's on Game Pass as well. So it's super easy to sit down with. Game Pass is maybe the worst place to play it just because on controller you're clicking and flicking your sticks everywhere to try and get
it on PC Game Pass though. So
cool. Good.
And it's on Switch and you can use the touchscreen if you
use your fingy.
Don't have Game Pass or a PC or something to play on.
And Aussie devs as well, so it's always good to see them on a list.
And it's I've heard very good things about the sound design. I haven't played
it,
but the sound design is apparently amazing. And it's
insane.
So interesting to be able to tell such a story as you were saying, but through almost entirely just props.
The worst part of the game is the writing. Like seeing the text, and I was like, I don't need this. Like it's just
I didn't even know there was writing. Yeah. I just assumed there wasn't.
There's just little weird interludes of each chapter.
There is some brutal moments in that game where you were like, I hate a person that I can that I only know them by their stuff, but I hate them. It's
a phenomenal game. It's proper. Don't pay attention to any of the numbers till we get to 3. But we're just talking about games at this point.
We are. My number 8 is a game that I only played and finished a couple of weeks ago, which is Marquette.
Yeah.
I love games with non-Euclidean geometry and that sort of thing. So fun, like superliminals and things like that. So I quickly smashed out a couple of much smaller games, that and Toem, within a few days. But yeah, I love that sort of like trippy, like playing with physics and playing with your expectations sort of games. And yeah, this one, it was great. Story was fine. It was much more interesting just, working out the puzzles and stuff.
Yeah.
It was a couple of times that I got completely stuck and had to look up some things.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a good game. It's very pretty. And the puzzles are wild.
Yeah.
So
and it came out this year.
And
my surprise if
it was free.
Yeah.
And free, free on PS5.
Not anymore, but it was.
Not anymore, but it was.
It was free.
Yes. Yeah. So number 8. There you go.
Good year for free games.
Benny.
Number 8 is Halo Infinite.
Nice.
Mainly the multiplayer, because the multiplayer was very fun. I first played it with Will and Josh. We did a stream of it, which was great. We all enjoyed the heck out of it. And then I started playing a bunch more at home on my PC. And it's very, very fun. Insane how well a Halo works in this day and age. But they've done a very good job of translating it into a bit more of a 2021 game while still keeping the guts of a Halo. I will briefly shout out the campaign because I've started the campaign, and from what I played, it's fantastic. But I have only done like the first couple missions and only just like gotten into the open world stuff. So I'm excited to tackle that over the next few weeks if I stop playing Destiny. But for now, multiplayer is very, very fun. Haven't played in a little bit, but I want to jump back into it and see. They've added some new playlists and stuff. So yeah.
I'm very keen to come back to Melbourne and start our journey through all the Halo games on stream.
Yeah,
very keen.
Yeah,
that'll be cool. Yeah. Speaking of old games, new game of an old game. My number 7 is Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. There it is.
Yeah,
came back around. Super fun. It's just the best version of Ratchet & Clank. Like you said, Ben, it's nothing new, but it distills everything that those games have always done well, and brings it to. Literally, the reason that it doesn't hit like a top 3 list, I think, is just the underutilization of those portals. It's so disappointing that wasn't a big deal. Like they talked it up, and it is a big techno, like in terms of the hardware of the console, it's a big deal, but it's just never used. It's only ever used in set pieces built around them. It's not like an ongoing mechanic. And like the fact that you can pull your way into like little hub mini games or like little, it's that I think is what makes it disappointing, because it's like, oh wow, you've really just shelved them over here to be like, how cool is that? But don't worry about it. It's like, no, it's in the name.
That's what you
it's
sold
Rift
us.
Apart.
Yeah.
So I think that's all right. That's why it doesn't like hit higher up in the list, but it's super fun.
Yeah, nice. My number 7 is Kena Bridge of Spirits. It made it onto my list.
There it is.
I had a great time with this game. It's very emotional. It has some pretty good mechanics, as Ben said. Fairly interesting overall, and a solid challenge, even just on medium. Or
Josh was messaging me towards the end of this game, being like, "Just how do I do this?
Like, why?" Because I didn't want to bump it down, because I heard if you bump it down, it becomes like
easy.
way too easy.
Yeah.
So there were just some like Ben gave me a heads up for a couple of things where he's like, you need to do this skill.
Yeah,
this will allow you to actually kill this enemy. I'm like, oh, okay.
For anyone who decides to play this game, there is a skill. It's the rot infused bomb.
Yeah,
and basically that is your best friend. It basically freezes time for a bit, and it's the best thing.
It's super OP. It's like when you play the Spider-Man games and you find that like 1 or 2 gadgets that you just love using, and those are like the only 2 you ever use, really. It's like that. Like once you get rot infused bomb, don't need anything else.
Yeah, good.
Ben.
Number 7 is Unpacking.
There it is.
Nice.
Yep. I don't have much more to say about this game. But yeah, it's the reason it's not higher, I guess, is that I just got sick of unpacking stuff, and that was probably because I was moving around the same time as well.
That's true.
And so I wanted to finish it because I was like, this is really cool storytelling.
Yeah.
But I also just don't want to organize more things.
Nice.
Yeah. No, I did the same thing. I think I played it within like 2 days of being in Melbourne, and I got halfway through, and then I think I put something on a shelf, and I'm like, Josh, I've not finished. I'm still playing the game.
Yeah, it's quite funny because Jay played it, like actually finished it before me, and was like the opposite, where she was like, oh, this is like romanticizing what the move we're about to do and everything. And then I played it and I was like, oh,
I'm done. Fair.
Yeah.
Fair. What are we up to? My number 6.
6.
Yes? Yeah, 6. I'm going to swap. I'm in a different order. I'm going to swap them. But my number 6 is Deathloop. Another
so it's
game.
mine.
It's your number 6?
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad we swapped it. We could just burn through a whole number. Do you want to swap yours?
Look, mine. I was going to swap mine as well. Mine was Ratchet and Clank. So
yeah, good.
There you go. Let's just burn that number out.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Number 6 is done. We're talking about Deathloop. You can say Deathloop now as well.
Sure. I haven't played it.
Oh yeah,
not all of it.
It's not on.
It's not on my list, unfortunately.
Yeah. Deathloop. It's great. The story sucks balls. The writing's great, but the story is just an incredible letdown when you get to the end, but it's still worth playing for the journey with the two characters that you're most involved with. And then the actual writing of the world is great. Like the dialogue pieces and stuff you can pick up is awesome. It's just
good world building.
Absolutely, totally. It's just a letdown of a ending, but the gameplay is just the most fun some of the most fun I've had in a game this year. I think in terms of shooting someone.
Yeah, it has some great art direction as well. I would say in spots. Not everywhere. Definitely bits of it started to feel a bit samey, but there's a few moments where I'm like, man, this is beautiful, but not because like the graphics are stunning, like realistic or anything, just because there's very clear art direction.
Yeah, totally. And just the fact that you can make use of those environments 3 times, like they're different in 3 different parts of the game. It's super cool.
You played Deathloop mostly in like a couple sittings, I think, Will.
Yeah.
And you were like, that is the way to play it. And I did not play it that way, and I agree with Will.
Yeah.
Because it was one where I was playing it like a bit each night, and it was kind of working because I was doing like a couple loops. And that worked. Yeah. Then I left it for ages and I came back to it. Yeah. And man, it was rough to get back into. Because I basically had, without spoiling, I had all the missions completed but one. And it was an annoying mission to do. If you've played the game, you can probably understand which one it was.
Yep.
And it was just like, it felt like beating my head against a wall because it was like, I don't know why. I think it's just being in the flow of the game and its mechanics and stuff. So once I did a few loops, I got back into it.
Yep.
But it is a rough game to pick back up after a little while. It's one of those that it definitely... It felt like towards the end I was going through the motions just to finish it. But I also knew that was because of the way I crafted my experience.
Yeah, I definitely would say, close playthroughs is always good. So I'm glad that you've played it twice.
Yeah, great. And then left for a month.
Yeah. No, I'm sure you'll love it. My number 5, we're in our top 5 now, thanks to number 6 dying in the butt.
I thought you were going to be like, we're in our top 5. Special thanks to number 6 for presenting the top 5.
Yeah, totally.
Nice.
Yeah, good. Well, it's not that. It's number 5 is Before Your Eyes. This is one that could land higher up and may land up higher up for other people. I don't know. It's just beautiful. And again, similar unpacking, a story that just is a story and mechanic that I don't think I've experienced in a game so well. There's things like, that Dragon Cancer is a similar kind of intense story that is very personal, and this kind of feels that way as well. But of course, if you don't know Before Your Eyes, it's all about blinking, and that's the prime mechanic of that game. So there's just story beats that you're holding on to. It's also like told from the POV of a child, so it's similar to, you blink and your life is gone, basically, as a kid. Yeah. So it's similar unpacking. It's a story and mechanic that just marry together to make such an incredible video game.
And it literally uses your webcam to track your blinking. That's the idea. So you're like watching the story unfold, and then if you blink, that story's done, and then you move on to a new scene, a new section. You literally just have to try and keep your eyes open for as long as you can to take in as much of that part of the story as possible before it moves on.
Yeah.
These darn game devs, hey Josh, doing weird stuff.
Too creative. Stop it.
Too creative.
Stop it.
This is on my list of like stuff. It's one of my pile of shame stuff that I really want to get back to at some point. I've got it downloaded and everything, just never got around to playing it. So,
It's definitely worth it. It's about an hour and a half, 2 hours, if that. So it's well worth an experience. Anyone can play it as well. As long as you've got a webcam. Like, I've been tempted. I want to sit my parents down to it because it's like they're basically watching a film.
Yes,
they don't have to do anything. And it's just a really cool experience.
Yeah, nice. Cool. My number, was it 5?
Yeah,
Operation Tango.
Yeah,
loved this game. This was so much fun. It was probably like the best version of one of these that I've played so far. Like I loved Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes. That game's great as well. But this one just, I don't know. It's a very good version of this game for the year.
Yeah.
Had a lot of fun on stream, playing it with Will, and then we tried to play the DLC and it just the stream died. Which was tolerable. Whatever.
Yeah.
It is. I'm so tired. But yeah, I just loved this game. The fact that, you know, both people's experiences were completely different, like, but shared. Because, you know, one person is looking at one thing and it's completely different to what the other person is looking at and doing, even though they're somewhat connected. It's a very clever version of like an escape room where the people are separated and have two different sides. It was very, very well done.
So fun.
And I'm very keen to see what else they do with that game, or whether there's that like going to be an Operation some other thing as a sequel.
Operation Cha-Cha.
Cha-Cha.
It's just different dances.
Operation Omicron.
Oh, God.
No. Don't say that around us New South Welshmen.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Very sad.
Yeah, that's all right. It's moving down to there. So it'll get everywhere soon. Yeah, no, I love that game. And it's on my list, so I'll talk about it later as well.
Nice.
Yeah, no, totally. If I had a second person to play it with, I would have. Yeah.
That's so sad. I'm so sorry, Ben.
No, well, that's the thing. I live with my partner.
Yeah.
But it was one of those ones that you have to play two different consoles.
Two consoles, unfortunately. Yeah. My sister
but that's okay.
Recently very disappointed when she found out that Mario Home Circuit had to be played on two separate consoles because she really wanted to get it for her husband for Christmas and get two of them so she could play. And I was like, well, you could you could still get one and it's still a lot of fun. She's like, yeah, but I don't want to watch him play it. I want to play it too. That's boring. And I can't afford another console.
Just play a life.
It's fair.
Yeah, I definitely can't afford another PlayStation.
It's true.
Yeah.
5.
Yeah,
totally.
True.
Yeah.
Frustrating.
Ben?
Mine is also Eye related. It is Outer Wilds Echoes of the Eye.
Nice.
Yeah.
Technically not a game. Free addition to Outer Wilds, but it's basically a whole other game.
Yeah.
Because the mechanics that it uses are not really at all related to the rest of Outer Wilds. Outer Wilds is like one of my favorite games ever.
Yeah.
It's like alongside Breath of the Wild and maybe one other thing, maybe Dota or something. I don't know.
Something wild.
As like my top 3 that I can never really like pick one out of.
Reese Wild, top 3 wilds in the world.
There you go.
Yeah.
Reese Wild, Outer Wilds, and Breath of the Wild.
Like that base game is phenomenal. And then they went and made a DLC that no one expected because it's a perfect game and it shouldn't have had a DLC. But then it should have had a DLC because it was also basically a perfect little game inside a game, which also got little creepy elements. I streamed the entirety of it and I'm glad I did because there are other people there that I could talk to and get scared with. And it's hard to talk much about this game without going into spoilers about what makes it so good.
Yeah.
But my general pitch for Outer Wilds is like, don't be afraid to use a guide to help you along a little bit if you want to get into this game. That is, I might be massacred for saying that because I know some people like don't let anyone tell you anything. But my thing with Outer Wilds is like, don't use a guide for the whole game. Don't get it to just walk you through the thing. But if you're struggling, get it to push you along because the end of the journey is worth a few struggles in the middle to get you through Outer Wilds. And I think
deep. That was so deep. That's like for life, man.
Yeah. Jeez. No, well, that's the game itself is like deep and existential and everything. And I think with this DLC added into it, I think it's going to be an even better experience. It's basically got a whole little mini game inside it that you can kind of tie into the full thing, but is a separate storyline. So yeah, I still think everyone should play this game. I admit the ship mechanics and some of the ways you move around and stuff are a struggle to get through, but there is some literally like the coolest experiences I've had in video games are in that game. So
nice.
Yeah.
One day.
But it's number 5.
It's number 5. What have you got? What do you got, Ben?
It's mainly there because it was like, look, it's a DLC ultimately. Like it's not, there are other stuff that I want to talk about and like push up more.
Yeah.
I've talked about Outer Wilds before, so.
Yeah, you should have put it at number 10 where all the shit games belong, according to Josh. My number 4 is The Artful Escape, which is another Aussie game. It's cool that there's 2 Aussie games on my list. And it's just great. And the developer is even better. If you haven't heard of this game, it's about an artist that wants to be cool, but everyone wants him to be his dad, and he doesn't want to be his dad. He wants to be cool, and so then he just goes into space.
Dads aren't cool, famously.
Dads suck. And then he goes into space and plays for aliens. And it's a very like sensical and understanding game. That makes a lot of sense.
Of course.
It's great. I will say the best way to play this video game is turn on your Philips Hue lights and mirror your screen and just let all the colors fill your room. And it is just the art, unsurprisingly, is incredible in this video game. And I feel like the purest form of how an indie game can function, where it's like the mechanic is barely there. Like you're just pressing a button to pretend to play guitar.
Sure.
The story is good. And the mechanic of walking is just side to side.
Yep.
There's nothing going on.
Yep.
But the beauty of indies is you're like, well, I mean, they did their best. It's very fun. Like, I'm not going to fault them for that.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's
like they got walking right. So like, I can't say that's bad.
Yeah. It's like, it does everything very well. And I just enjoyed it. And the thing I will always love in a video game is a very contained package. And it's like 3 hours long. And so it never overblows. There's a section where it was like, you maybe need to wrap this up. But I don't know. It's also a beautiful game in its score and music. And that for me is usually about 90% of a production. So I loved it. It's very good. That's my number 4.
Nice. Very good. My number 4 is Zelda Skyward Sword on Switch. It got re-released. It had to make it on there.
Yeah,
it had to be somewhere, and I loved my way too much time with this. This game took me so long. It was a very, very long game. But yeah, I never got around to playing the original despite accidentally buying it twice. But yeah, it was great. From what I have heard of the like usability fixes, what do you call it? The
accessibility?
Not the accessibility ones, but the
quality of life.
Quality of life. I was going to say ease of use, whatever. Quality of life improvements. Seemingly have made it such a better experience. So if you didn't like it before, and like didn't jump in too far, maybe give it another go. If you have a Switch, everyone has a Switch.
Everyone has a Switch.
Yeah, give it a go if you're into those sorts of games.
Just one Switch.
Just one.
That's the issue.
You can only have one. That's the problem.
Yeah.
But just I love Zelda. I love
it's on him.
Zelda.
There it is. There it is.
Yeah.
And yeah, this was it was a great story, and it's the first one.
Yep.
Like it explains the origins of so many things in the Zelda universe.
Yep.
Don't you love non-linear series storytelling?
Of course, totally. Yeah. So like, you get like, where does any of this come from? Why are there so many like Zeldas and Links? Because people might not realize every Zelda and Link in every game is almost always a different Zelda and Link. It's not the same character every time. Which is wild, and this explains why.
Yeah, right.
And then like it gives you the Master Sword, and throughout this game you have a normal sword, and you keep upgrading it until it becomes the Master Sword, and you freaking put it. It's wild.
There it
like
is.
it builds it up.
Origin.
It's crazy. So it tells you all the origins, and if you're into the Zelda series, it's just so nice to get answers for all of these things. I guess not that we needed them.
Yeah.
Over 30 years or whatever of these games.
Yeah.
But it's nice to have like a solid sort of base of like, this is where that comes from.
What that means.
Just little things just trigger in your brain where you're like, oh yeah, that's nice. I like that. So I really enjoyed that. That's my number 4.
It's number 4.
Nice. My number 4 is a game I haven't finished, but it's Inscription.
Nice.
I've been playing this on stream, so I played it on 2 streams so far. And initially, I mean, it's just a fun card game at first with some creepy elements. And that card game is surprisingly fleshed out and works very well as like a roguelike card slinging game, which is the kind of thing I'm really into.
You are.
Again, I've stitched myself up here. Hard one to talk about. And then it kind of opens up. There's some little, I'd say, escape roomy kind of vibes. And then after a while, shit hits the fan. And then, yeah, that's the point where I basically got to on my stream, but it's done enough at this point to get to number 4. So that probably says enough, really.
It's pretty good.
Yep.
I've only played like a fraction of it from what I've heard, but it's a very clever, crazy game. Another Aussie dev, guy who made Pony Island. I'm glad he's like, because Pony Island was whack, and I'm glad he's getting a lot of praise for this one. Because doing similar stuff, but on like a different level of like Inception layers upon layers of weird. Yeah.
That is a hard one to talk about.
That's kind of all I can say.
Yeah.
I want to talk more about this game, but I also need to finish it. So, you know.
Well, it's still number 4, so.
Yeah, totally. No, that's the thing. I'm like pretty sure this game would have been vying for number 1 if I'd played most of it.
Yeah,
so.
good.
Yeah,
good. My number 3.
Just before we get into top 3, I just wanted to. I have an alternate list. I have a list of games that I think probably would have made it onto my top 10 somewhere. Probably pretty high for the most part. But I'll just super quickly go through them. So Deathloop, of course, because you know. I love those sort of games.
Yep.
Sorts games. It's a freaking struggle. 2 games that I started in the last week. Metroid Dread. Loving it so far. It's really, really good.
That's super one solid. I would have. I'm the same. Would have been on my list, but I've played. I need to restart it, honestly, because I started it a while ago.
It's definitely one where if you put it down, the mechanics will probably leave your head.
But 100%, I agree with you on that.
Yeah. And one that I only picked up 2 days ago and started playing yesterday at time of recording is Shovel Knight Pocket Dungeon.
Yeah, right.
It's just great. It's on Switch. I thought it was going to be like a free mobile game or something. It seems like that's where it would go, but it's not on mobile at all.
Yeah, right.
It's only on consoles.
It's in the name.
Yeah, totally. That's why I thought it would have been Pocket Dungeon. But yeah, it's good fun. I've only played like maybe an hour or so of it. But I think that it could probably make my list because there's little bits of story and stuff in it, and it's got addictive qualities of kind of match 3s, but not quite, but sort of.
Yeah.
So it's very cool. Sable, never got around to it. Super buggy apparently, but I loved playing the demo earlier this year. I almost put the demo on my list. But I've heard good things from people that pushed through the bugs and managed to finish it. So keen to get back to that at some point. The Artful Escape is also on there. I really wanted to play that. Eastward, I heard really good things from various people. Gus was one of them, I think. Yep. Who really liked it. And some people.
Spoilers for a video that's out, but that's on his list. So it's pretty good.
Cool. And guys from All the Small Games really liked it as well. The Big Con was one I was quite excited about too. Where you play like a 90s teen who is trying to earn some money to do something. I think like help her mum or something out. So she goes around a mall and cons people.
Yep.
That just looks like a cool, fun indie. And a game that I got free recently on Epic is Loop Hero. I never got around to playing it. But it was like free.
Another one for me as well.
Yeah. So it's on the list. I picked it up. I wanted to just try and jump into it over the last couple of days just to see what it was like, but I haven't had chance.
I now own it on 2 platforms and have yet to play it on either. So
nice. Yeah, there it is. So that's just my probably could have made it onto the list. But just not enough time.
Yeah.
Too much happened this year.
Well, sorry, we'll do another one of these in February and our list will be completely different.
It's true. It's true. Yeah.
My list, this is unchanged. Is number 3 is Lake. It is nothing more than it looks. Like, it's nice for a game to come out that doesn't try to be something else.
Yeah.
I only knew about it because of Pocket. There was one of the games in the game plan. They made fun of it because they're like, it's just mail, and surely there's some like hidden twist. There isn't. That's not a spoiler.
Yep.
As soon as you play the game, you realize you are just Meredith delivering post to just people, but it's weirdly well written, and like all the people exist. Like they feel like real people.
They feel, they're people.
Yeah.
This
Ben,
is
did you finish it? Did you finish?
I did. I feel like a bunch of the stuff that made your list, or like this is now 3 games that I should have played this in one sitting. And again, I split it up over a large amount of time, and this is the one that it hurt most for sure. Because I came back to it and I was like, oh, I got to do 2 more days of mail to get to the bit of story that I want to do. Whereas like when I was playing it the first time, I was like, this game is great. This is exactly what I need right now. I need to just like zone out on a weekend and just deliver some mail. And it's like, that was brilliant. That was brilliant. And then I came back to it later and I had to finish it. But it was definitely a struggle at that point because I was like, the driving isn't that good. Like it's a bit annoying. She walks really slowly. So when you're just wanting to get to a particular story resolution, it doesn't work as well. So it slipped it was on my list and it slipped a bunch down because of that. But again, it's one of those things where it's like, it's just because of me. That's all. I totally agree with you and everything you said. Whereas like, it was like at number 6 or something on my list at one point. So
it's just a lovely thing. And like, I legitimately found myself planning out my mail drops by the end of it.
Totally.
Because you start off with like 3 all things to do, but by the end of it, it's like, here's 20 different places to go. And so, and the whole, and the reason it's called Lake is it's centered around a lake. So everything's kind of one circle route. So you can kind of go, all right, well, I'm going to go this way because there's more here. But then it like tapers out and you're like, well, will I go all the way? I don't know. It shouldn't be as fun as it is, even though, 100% everything's very slow. It's a very slow game. And
which is fine when like that's what you want. And that's what I wanted for a bit. And then I came back to it like, it's not what I want anymore.
I want to get to the banging. There's no banging in it. But it feels like there might be banging, but there's no banging.
Probably afterwards. After the game.
Post credits.
I always did the thing where I was like, I don't need to go around the whole lake, but I'm going to do it every time. I never turned back around. I was like, nah, I got to do the whole lake.
Let's go all the way. Yeah. Love it. Number 3, Josh.
Very nice. My number 3, I have a feeling it could be somewhere on Ben's list in this top 3. Death's Door.
It's on my list.
Yeah? Very good. Cool. So, I loved this game. I just loved the mechanics. I thought it was super solid. I thought it was, it felt like a good sort of intro to, like, baby's first Soul game. Which is very much what I need to ever get into those sorts of games. Not as like, intense and beautiful and wonderful as something maybe like a Hollow Knight, but I feel like it's somewhat comparable to that in some sort of way. So I thought it was a stunningly solid little experience. And it's in my top 3 because I really, really intend to go back and do the post-game stuff. I really, really want to, and it's constantly in my head. So therefore, I'm like, that is
living in there.
Yeah, the one game out of all of these that I want to really go back to and play again, or like play the post-game stuff, then it probably deserves to be pretty high up in my list that I'm so passionately keen to go back to it, but just haven't had the chance yet.
My number 3, which I really won't talk about this much because I know we're going to talk about it more, Guardians of the Galaxy.
There it is.
Yeah, great game. Fantastic game. Such a surprise for even us big Marvel fans. It was such a surprise. For people who play Marvel's Avengers, we were still not hopeful for this game. But it is wonderful. And that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, we'll talk about it in a bit.
I'm sure someone else, some others will have that on their list too.
My number 2 has already been talked about, so I won't go into it much, but it's Operation Tango. I think the way that like my games of the year always goes, it's not necessarily the best games. Clearly, Lake was number 3. It's just the games that I enjoyed the most and like had the best experience in. And it's totally, Operation Tango just was a lot of our year. Even though it was like maybe 3 streams, it felt like the game I played the most. And like, it's just mechanically so cool. And the thing that I keep thinking about it is we've both only experienced half of it.
Yes.
Like, it takes 2, you at least see the other person doing it. And it's like, okay, I can see everything you're doing. Like, I don't know what you did for half of that game.
Yeah.
And vice versa. And like,
to the point where you could basically do another playthrough of it.
100%. Yeah. Like, I would love to, and I'd love to know how randomized the puzzles are, I guess. That would be the tricky bit. Like, you know, obviously there's lots of ones where it's just numbers that could be randomly generated, but there's a few where it's like very specific things happen, like the mobile phone one in the like evidence locker kind of thing. Whether that's the same item every time, because then it's like, well, we've got a leg up if you've played it before.
Yes.
But yeah, I think it's really cool. Just adopting that keep talking and nobody explode thing into such a unique format. And yeah, it's something that they can just keep doing. Like they've already done that free, which is not quite the same thing, but at least from what we played, it's like the best part of that game is the mechanics. So it's like, cool, just give us that. You don't need a clever story around it. So yeah, no,
I feel like you and I, like I'm not surprised that was high on your list. I assumed it probably would be around where I had it or higher. But you and I were championing for this so much as like a better cooperative experience than It Takes Two. Like just so much more enjoyable overall. Who the hell knows what the story was about in Operation Tango?
It's spies.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
No one knows what any James Bond movie is about.
No.
So
I think
you don't need to know this one either.
Rami Malek.
Yeah. I think unfortunately the only thing that hurt it is, like I mentioned earlier, that like it has to be played over two consoles. So it's just like, if I from what I saw of you guys playing it, I agree that it's probably a better co-op experience. But the benefit of It Takes Two is it can be played on couch co-op, it can be played online and stuff. But it's the kind of thing where I'm like, I'm glad you guys are talking about this so much, because like obviously I didn't have anyone to play it with, but I love hearing you guys talk about it, because from what I saw, it was a very cool game.
Number two. My number two. Again, we'll talk about it soon. Guardians of the Galaxy.
There it is.
Just so much fun.
I like that it made a 3, a 2, and a 1 on our list.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. So Guardians, definitely, in my number 2 spot. There was, just a standout game above that for me. I feel like Will's trying to work it out. You'll know. It's kind of probably unexpected, and it's not going to be on anyone else's list in the world.
It's the sequel to Braille Academy.
That's it. But yeah, just an experience that I don't think any of us expected this year, because it was announced 6 months ago and came out 3 months later.
So great.
Like, insane.
Do that more often, devs. It's fine. Just do it. Imagine if they did it for Elden Ring. Like, imagine if they announced Elden Ring in April and it came out in like August. It's like, oh shit. Okay, cool.
Like, they basically almost announced it when it went gold. Yeah, like, totally. They were done. They were pretty much done. And they're like, all right, sick. Now we can announce it. Do that. Then no one's disappointed by delays.
I think it's because of the fact that Avengers was probably doing so badly that they held it for so long, which in turn benefited them.
Absolutely.
Totally. Yeah. But again, we'll have a big old chat about it when we talk about our number ones. But my goodness, just a great game and a surprising experience overall.
Absolutely.
Yes.
My number two, which I'm very excited to talk about because I feel like not enough people are talking about this game, is Returnal.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I adore this game. I played it. It might be partly because of when I played it, because I played it when I was in a very turbulent space in my own life. I was moving house for the first time this year. And it was like the thing I was going to every night, like kind of like Deathloop, but I was so much more pulled into this game, doing run after run after run. It is one of the better roguelike games I've played in recent years. It's up there with Hades, in my opinion. I don't think much can beat Hades because, in my opinion, Hades is almost the perfect game. But this is like, for a AAA, like, third-person shooter game to tackle a roguelike is a very different kind of thing. And Housemarque did a crazy good job with this game because it's basically a bullet hell shooter, but with the like mechanics of a third person action game, and then all the roguelike elements piled on top. And it has, some of like just really, really, really clever and well thought out combat design. A lot of the boss fights are so tricky, but so rewarding when you beat them.
Yeah.
What else do I have to say about this game? Beautiful sound design. That's it. It's kind of sound design because it uses the DualSense in probably the best way I've played any game with it so far, because it has the trigger, has like a half pull trigger for your regular shot and then full pull for a charge shot, or the other way around. I can't remember.
Yeah. I heard really good things about all the haptics and adaptive trigger stuff about that game. They seem to go hard.
It has 3D sound. It was one of the few games I played with headphones on, because the 3D audio is fantastic. And then on top of that, the haptics combined with the 3D audio, it has like just the pinpoint accuracy of its haptics is like insane. The main one you feel most of the game is raindrops, but there's all these other little bits and pieces that are just different enough. Like you would think the raindrops would kind of get muddied with when you pick up the main currency of the game, which are these little shards, but they're different enough that you can feel the difference of when you pick them up. And yeah, for me, like the runs never got boring. They were short enough that I felt like I could do a couple and then leave it for the night. I guess the one thing that people criticize about this game is that you couldn't save in the middle of runs, so it got quite awkward.
You can now.
You can now. But I think for me, the way, again, it's kind of like what you said, Will. It's like, it's maybe less the game of the year, but for me and how I played games this year, this came at the perfect time when I was in need of something that I could just sink a couple of hours into in the evening and just like zone out to. And yeah, man, I love it so much. It's kind of, it's really sad to me that it kind of didn't make a lot of other people's lists. I think because it's a PS5 exclusive and it's hard. And so a lot of people wouldn't have touched it for either or both of those reasons. But I think it's definitely worth, if any of that sounds like your kind of game and you have a PS5, I would sink your teeth into it a little bit and see how you go. I wanted to push through it and get there's like a true ending you can get after you finish the game. I wanted to do that, left it for too long, and this is what I won't go back to because I know it's not worth it.
I enjoyed the very little I played, but it's definitely a type of game that I'm like, I want to go away now. I don't like this.
It's not a Will game.
It's not a Will game. But no, I am surprised that it did get buried amongst the year because it is so unique mechanically compared to everything. And it's like next to, I guess, Astrobot's Playroom, one of the very few games that utilizes the console and the controller to its fullest. And so it's what I think, saying if you've got a PS5, I think it will probably end up on PS Plus. Maybe January. It may be one of the first games in PS Plus because it'll probably drop there. So
it makes me really excited for what Housemarque does next, especially because this led to them getting bought by PlayStation.
Sure.
So they've got that extra backing behind them now, and I think this is definitely a step up from the past stuff they've done because I think they did like Resogun and something else.
Something with a ball.
And this is like on a different level to those. So I'm very excited to see what kind of thing they tackle next. Hopefully it's like a bit more accessible for other people.
Yeah.
Because I acknowledge that this game is not super accessible for everyone. It was just the perfect kind of thing for me.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd forgotten about this game and that would definitely be on my list of things that I wanted to play this year. I bought it. Totally. I have it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen it on your shelf multiple times.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Certainly there.
But speaking of incredibly accessible games, a game that Sam's father has played and I think finished, a dad that plays no video games, but just for some reason absorbed this game.
Love that this is the introduction to this game.
Well, just because this video game shouldn't have worked, and it works so well that a man that has never played a video game in the past maybe 10 years played it all the way through and enjoyed every minute of it.
And it's a long game.
It's a long game, right? It's Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. It's my number one. It could have been anywhere on this. I think similar. It's very good, but I don't know if it's number one. It just worked, and it is just the most fun I've had in a game. So that's why it lives at number one for me.
Yep.
Echoing everything you guys have already said of the game, it's just an achievement, and it just feels like every person that worked on the game wanted to work on the game, which is just something that doesn't always happen in AAAs. It just felt like everyone was having fun, and it shows through in the game. There's so many little hidden details. The entire nowhere section where there's just things to do. It's like that shouldn't exist in this game. This game's supposed to be like boring and like it's supposed to be schlocky and simple, and some reason there's just a section where you can spend money, which then affects your ending of it. Like you can
certainly
choose,
did for me.
You choose your ending of the game in a section that feels irrelevant, which is such an interesting thing. Spoilers for the game, but not really. It's like, if anything, that's a hint. If you want the like easy, simple ending, just be careful in Nowhere. Don't lose all your money. It's just it's an achievement of a game that
but also spend all your money in Nowhere, because there's some good stuff.
There's some good stuff.
Some fun stuff.
Maybe make a save point. Make a save point at the start of Nowhere so that you can go back and then you can enjoy everything, and then just keep your money, because then you can be a good boy.
Yeah.
And music wise as well, I'll always bring up the music. It is the best music of the year. Who won best music this year? I can't remember.
It was Near Replicant.
That's
which,
right.
Look, none of us can talk about.
No,
but
I'm not gonna,
it probably had good music. So.
Yeah, I'm not going to knock it, but it's just there's nothing else I can say apart from like art design. It's also a visually spectacle. It shouldn't look as good as it does as well. Like Square Enix has a look. Like there's apart from like the Tomb Raider games, and I think that's where this leans a bit more into. But there's a look of those games that Josh and I just never gotten into. I don't know about you, Ben, as well. It's just a kind of style that
it's definitely a struggle for me.
Yeah, that's just it always feels a little bit half baked, and this game is one of the best next gen looking games. Yeah. Which again, unexpected. Yeah, this game is just purely unexpected in how much detail it puts everywhere, and like I can't recommend it enough. Again, someone who doesn't play games, love this game. I want to put it in front of everyone I can. Yeah. Because the combat's not hard. It's not hard to play this game either.
No, it's really easy, but it never it's really easy, but it never feels like you're just going through the motions, which is incredible because of how easy it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And back on the sound design. Well, I will just quickly say so far, I don't think I've heard anyone not enjoy it.
Yeah.
Everyone in Back Pocket seemed to enjoy it.
It's so nuts.
Like for a Marvel product in 2021, for people to be like unanimously enjoying it, it's kind of ridiculous.
There's no annoying Twitter people that are pulling apart one element to find something wrong with it. Totally.
Yeah. And just back on the music and stuff, the fact that they've got, 80s music, the like orchestral score, and a guy like the music producer or whatever wrote an entire
album,
soaring rock album from inspired by 80s music. So there's like three very distinct different types or areas of music in this that just work so well together. So insane.
It's and the album is so good that it can be confused with the real 80s music that's in the because like Pete I think played for the section where you're right at the end going back to the Nova Core thing. He played some music because he was like, I'm sure this will be a good bit, and he played it and it was a real song, but he thought it was part of the Star-Lord album, so he let it play out. So there's just a massive chunk of copyright claim, but it's like because it just feels real. Yeah, they feel like songs from and again another element of the game that just does not need to exist.
Yes,
like
it's so unnecessary.
It's so unnecessary.
It works so well. It's so interesting, and I've literally just recommended the album to friends that I know that love you you kiss and you like
they love a good kiss.
Yeah, exactly. Like all those sort of like hair metal bands of the 70s and 80s. I recommended if you don't play the game, listen to the freaking album because this was written exclusively for the game. Maybe you'll go play it.
So cool.
Well, while we're talking about the music, I have to bring up my favorite moment from this game, which is spoilers. I'm going to put spoilers. Spoilers for Marvel.
On the screen.
Wow. Anyway, one, you get to fight Fin Fang Foom, which know my thoughts about Fin Fang Foom. It's great.
Yeah,
it's fantastic. But right at the start of that, I did a huddle up because I was like, "This will be useful." It's a big boss fight. And then of course the song that played as soon as I did that was "Never Gonna Give You Up."
Amazing.
So I was fighting Fin Fang Foom with "Never Gonna Give You Up" going on, and I was like, "This is the weirdest and worst, but also best experience I've had in playing a game in a long time."
Yeah.
It's too good.
I think I had a huddle on one of the final bosses at one point. And the song that played was "Don't Worry, Be Happy." So it's like huge, like insane set pieces and like massive boss fights and just insanity ensuing.
Josh, they all work.
Yeah, they do for some reason.
There's some really different songs in here.
Such a
there's like "Take on Me" as well. That also comes up at some time. But like any time they're put in, no matter what the fight is, they always work, which is the remarkable
Built This City
thing.
works really well. So much fun to hear.
So good.
And we haven't even talked about, and I don't think we need to. We don't need to go too much further into this. Basically, play the game, but the fact that every single performance in the game it deserves a performance of the year. Like everyone is just the perfect version of those characters.
Yes.
And I mean, it helps that the script is amazing. Like it's always funny. There's literally one moment that doesn't work, and it's when they crash on the planet that we can't talk about because it's a spoiler. But you know the planet, it's the thing that Ben just talked about. They crash on that planet and then they just kind of laugh and they're like, "Ha, that was so funny." And it's like, what the fuck just happened?
It's a bit weird. It sounds like they're being sarcastic.
But they don't
but they're not.
play it that way.
It's a weird, weird scene.
It's literally the only bit that I was like, oh no, is this the beginning? Is this because the whole, like literally the whole time you play the game, you're like, this has to fall apart at some point. And so that was the point I was like, oh god, this is it. The game's going to start shitting.
Cracks, but then they
just fill the cracks.
Mended, and then it's all fine.
Yeah, or Drax blows them up. I just wanted to say, I don't think we ever got to the bottom of this, and if we did, then it's fine because it's a fact that people can enjoy. But someone on PC was playing this game, and they're not that much better, but I think they're easier to read than they were when we were looking at it on PS5. And it is, in fact, Spider-Man Rain.
Holy crap, it is!
It's flat out Spider-Man Rain is one of the very few like Marvel comics that are on Peter Quill's shelves at the start of the game. Spider-Man Rain, of course, is the long-serving book that we cannot get in the Marvel, and Peter Quill
doesn't exist.
Peter Quill has it.
Yeah.
Which means it either means that he has it, or it means that it's a fictional book that we didn't actually read.
Yeah.
And it only exists in the fictional
When did it come out? Because he was...
That's true. I mean, it's early 90s is where this Peter Quill's set.
No, it's like a 2006 book.
That's true. I mean,
I thought it was
that would work.
It's true. There's also a Bucky Barnes album which has Sebastian Stan's face on it. So, you know, there's some things that don't quite work there.
Just so you know, it's not a fictional book because I've been reading that recently and that is a weird-ass comic.
It's fucking wild.
Yeah. It's weird, right?
Yeah.
We freaking loved it.
Josh mentioned it to me a while ago because of this specific thing.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I'll put it on my list. And I just started reading it late one night and I was like, am I asleep?
Yeah, it's nuts.
Am I
it's
dreaming?
Real weird.
It's a nuts book. No, we should. It's nothing Spider-Man related. We'll just do it. No, we'll do it for Halloween. We'll do a Halloween.
We should do it. Yeah, we should do it off. Yeah, no, totally. That would be great. We do a comic cast on it. On Guardians. Again, most of the performances. I was just looking at I had a few little notes when I was playing the game of my favorite bits. A couple of them were just those performance bits. I'm not going to go into them because I don't want to spoil it. But there's two of the big character moments because each character has their own moment.
Yeah.
Two of them particularly stood out. One towards the end.
Yeah.
And then also one which is like a big part of the game in the middle.
I think the one you're referring to, and we won't say what it is about, but it's Gamora's scene, right?
Yeah.
That is one of the best Marvel moments.
Totally.
I'm going to put it on a list actually. Like legitimately just takes you back. Like, and again, the way the comedy is infused at the end of that moment is so perfect. It's incredible. Like, actually, is your other moment on that same section of bridge? Because with Drax, because my one of my other moments in the game is Drax and Quill have a discussion about his mother. And that's one of my
I was just saying the entire Drax.
Yeah, cool. The entire Drax thing is amazing.
Storyline, which is a long part. So I'm not going to.
Totally.
But like there's bits of that are like insanely good and so good. Miles better than the movie, honestly. Like this is the Guardians I go to now if I'm like this team, this is the best version of it by far for me.
And I think this isn't really about games of the year, but Ben, I think you briefly mentioned when we were talking about this game, it's probably better than Marvel's Spider-Man, right? Like,
Yeah, maybe.
I think it's better because the Marvel Spider-Man game story is shit. Like that's the worst part of that game.
In like story and stuff and world building and stuff, I think it is. Yeah. Definitely like the mechanics and fighting and stuff in Spider-Man I probably prefer.
Yep, that's fair.
Because, who used quick travel? The web slinging and that and the swinging is just the best freaking thing in the world.
Totally. Yeah.
All the fights and stuff like that are fantastic. So yeah.
They've got their
things, but yeah, I definitely think in terms of story.
Oh god, I just remembered Rocket's story bit as well. No, they are all good. I don't care.
It's so good. Yeah,
it's just the best story.
Yeah,
yeah. It would be hard to look at them as games, which would sit above each other.
I think there's bigger moments in Spider-Man's story.
Yes.
But I think overall, as an overall story, Guardians is
absolutely
is a better thing.
100%.
The last thing I'm going to say about the story, which is quite remarkable about a Guardians game, is that it is actually ultimately a game about dealing with grief and trauma.
Yeah,
it is.
Like the entire time. And that's pretty incredible considering the tone of a lot of the game.
Yeah.
And they land it, which is very impressive.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the best version of Marvel's comedy. Because Marvel's comedy sucks a lot of the time. This game handles it beautifully. And it feels like a comic book. It's written like the best comic book you've ever read.
It's written like a 18 issue run with like a good few 6-issue arcs, I'd say.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Good. That's my number one. What's your number one,
Very
Joshua?
good. My number one, it's not anyone else's number one, is a game that I had problems with a few times because it kept crashing or file saves were corrupting, but Narita Boy.
Oh my god.
My number one. I loved this game so much to the point where I basically played it 2.5 times.
That's what I did with Lake.
Yeah,
Lake died.
Right.
That's my Lake.
Yeah,
it's like why does anyone want to talk about these games?
Yes,
we do.
Yeah. I loved this little indie game so much. It was exactly what I wanted and needed at the time. Just a little like really nice pixel art, platformer action game. But it had like a real old school like CRT TV style to it, to the point where even the sides of the game screen were like curved, and there was like a weird raster going on, and there was sort of like weird glitches, but that was just a filter over the top. Just was so like visually interesting, I felt the whole time. It also looks muddy, but it just goes along with the style. Just because of the colors that they chose and things like that. But yeah, it's basically, if I haven't talked about it enough already, it's about a dude who has created this world, this kind of almost living.
A boy, would you say?
Sorry,
this boy.
A boy, would you say?
Yes, that's it. He creates this world, this digital kind of little world, and there's some creatures that get corrupted, and the big bad ends up attacking him through the computer, and nearly killing him, removing all of his memories. So of course you have to retrieve the memories of the creator, as you play as Narita Boy, who is the hero of this little universe that is made, and then you end up playing through his life to retrieve those memories, on top of just going through this little world that he's created. And you experience this guy's whole life, where again there's a lot of grief and trauma, and like his dad didn't really care about him, his mum died when he was young, all this sort of stuff, lived with his grandparents, created a cult, of course, after he got married and had a kid, and then that breaks up his marriage and stuff. And it's just like, it's insane. It's really wacky, but so much of the in-game stuff is so like Cody based, like programming and stuff. There's a lot of stuff to do with
Cody Banks.
Just a lot of stuff to do with like programming. Like I don't think you'd need to know it to understand it, but there's just little bits in there that triggered just little things in my brain that was like, oh yeah, it's satisfying little like references.
Is there any numbers in this
code?
game?
And oh man, is there ever? There's little bits where there's like, room and then just a bunch of zeros and ones. And I sat there and just looked at it for a while. I'm like, that is the binary letter for N. So it's like room N. I just sat and looked at it like, yeah, there it is. I really enjoyed what it did, and it set itself up for a sequel as well.
Yep.
So I'm keen to see where it goes. They get into a DeLorean and drive away.
Good.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
Well, my game of the year is a bit of a. If you've been paying attention, you probably worked it out at this point. It's Death's Door.
Yay, Death's Door.
Good stuff.
It's pretty remarkable, actually, because I'm looking at my list and I'm like, this has probably been like the most volatile game of the year list through the year, because I tend to try and keep them during the year and edit them as I go.
Yep.
And this, most of the games on my list have shifted up and down a bunch. I think Returnal was like really low at one point, and then it's just like grown for me over the year. Death's Door is like always number 1 or number 2 on this.
I honestly thought this got pushed down by other things over time, because I know Kana was super high for you, and I didn't know where Guardian sat as well. But I kind of thought this been knocked down a little bit for you.
It's pretty remarkable as well, because I don't really know why it stood like at number 1 for so long, because I look at it like removed from the game itself, and I'm like, there's nothing out and out like similarly to Ratchet and Clank. It's not doing anything particularly new. It's basically exactly what it is on the box. It's a kind of would you almost say Metroidvania top down?
Yeah. Yep. Definitely that stuff.
Soulsy kind of game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. There are there's rooms and places that you can't get into until you have certain abilities later. So
but everything about it is just like, I don't want to say perfect, but I want to say perfect.
Yeah.
Because I remember playing this. It's another one I played through almost entirely on stream, and I'm glad I streamed all of it, because I just got to keep saying how much I was in love with it.
I forgot you streamed this one. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like everything about it. Like, I can't fault anything about it, and I think that's why ultimately it rose to the top of this list, is just because there was like nothing I could point at and I was like, this was bad. I enjoyed every second I played of it. The boss fights are clever and fit in thematically with each part of the game you're in, using the new abilities you've gotten in kind of cool and interesting ways.
Yeah, always
the music
as well.
Yeah, the music is phenomenal. Possibly the most underrated part of this game, but I think is just so good. I need to go back and listen to the soundtrack again soon, because it's been a while since I have. But it dropped on Spotify recently. Nice. The little character designs are really cute, but also a little bit creepy at the same time.
Yeah. The sailor.
Yeah, totally.
The octopus on his back that's controlling him.
Yeah. What else have I got to say about it? The weird storyline that's going on. There's a weird, like, almost corporate dystopia storyline going on in the background that's very cool. And it's very cool that when you go to this like door gateway in between space, it's all in like black and white, and just the one thing that is colored is your sword, and it's the bright red sword and everything.
I'm so impressed with some of the reflections of this game as well.
Oh, totally. Like, it's pretty graphically very impressive for what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, totally. Like, I think before I even started playing it, I think Will and I jumped on the stream. Maybe like we were just obviously separated, like by states. But I think it was after a record or after a stream or something. We jumped on yours. And we were like, look at the sword, the red glowing sword in the water as you're running past it.
Totally.
Stuff like that. Like, it was so impressive. That almost sold me on it. I was like, it's amazing that they put that much effort into that detail and stuff.
I think it's largely made by two people as well, which makes it all the more incredible that it's, in my opinion, so like flawless. And I guess my thing is like, the reason I don't want to say it's perfect is because I wouldn't personally call this like a 10 out of 10 game. Because at this point, for me, a 10 out of 10 game has to really set itself apart and do something like interesting. But like, it's like a 9.5, like as close as possible. Just because it nails 100% what it's going for. And it also has like 3 final boss fights, which I thought was going to really annoy me. Like I would start each new one and be like, are you kidding me? I thought I was done. But by the end of it, I was like, that is the best way they could have done that. Like 100%. I'm so glad
turns the whole time.
They pushed me through all of that. Oh man, I love it so much. I want to go back and play it now, actually. I think I'm going to buy it on PlayStation and try and get like a platinum trophy of it.
Cool.
And stuff.
Very good.
Play through it all
Did you ever play the post-game stuff? I feel like
No, I didn't. I'm the same as you, where I'm
okay, cool.
I was told it was really good, but I never got around to it. And I think at this point, it's just worth me getting it on PlayStation and
play it all
doing it
through.
again.
Yeah.
Totally.
It's on PlayStation and Switch now, I think, as well.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
Nice.
Good stacked list. To add a couple more, though, we've got a few patron submissions.
Amazing.
So I'll quickly jump through those. Number 1 from Dolphin Pants, Riders Republic, which could have been on, I think, both of our lists.
Yeah, probably. I got some a lot of like money and gift vouchers and stuff for my 30th this year.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm gonna
Riders.
go jump in and grab that one.
Yeah. No, I
Sure.
heard Ben and I heard a lot about Riders this year.
Yep.
Great fun game. Second one comes from Milk Please, who votes for Psychonauts 2. Another game I would love to have played that just hasn't been in my hands long enough.
Yep.
It's what Josh's list earlier of stuff that is on my list. That would Psychonauts 100% was there. I've played a bit of it, but not enough.
Yeah, nice.
BMAC gives us Humankind, which I think is a 4X game.
That game is cool. I've played that. It didn't make the list because, again, I've only played like 1 or 2 games of it. But I played it with my friend Liam, who I do my Bin podcast with, because he's really into 4X stuff.
Yep.
And yeah, it's in my opinion, a better modern day version of what Civ is trying to be.
Yeah,
so
right.
It's very good. It has some problems, but it's also very, very good. So I'm glad BMAC brought it up.
BMAC gave us that one.
I was going to ask what that was, but the description of Civ makes a lot of sense.
It's
literally another company's version of Civ.
Yeah,
sure.
I think June Sand War or whatever the fuck that was.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, that game. Yeah, love it.
Miss Harney gives us Phoenix Immortals Rising. Haven't played anything this year, but that's a cool one that's just been playing through this year.
Yeah, I finished that
last year.
Yeah. I finished that at the start of this year, so I guess technically it could be on my list.
Yeah,
but I finished it.
Nice.
Good.
Yeah.
Grubby goes with Inscription. Didn't finish many games this year, but Inscription is a wonderful game about games with a sick ARG to boot. First game for a long time with twists and turns that threw me for a loop. Great art and atmosphere. Extremely good sound design and mechanics. Highly recommend it, especially if anyone's into deck builders. Basically echoing you, Ben.
Yeah, actually, no. The final thing I have to say about that, just on that, they're actually releasing a free DLC update kind of thing, which is just the original base game before it gets weird.
Sick.
As a ongoing roguelike.
Yep.
And I'm like, I will probably actually play a lot of that because, as I said earlier, that game is in itself really, really good. Like in terms of card-based roguelikes, it's like really well thought out. There's probably a few balance issues, but
I wonder if they'll ever do a Hearthstone. I wonder if they'll ever drop it on mobile or something. Just as that.
That'd be cool. I mean, they could drop the whole. From what I've played, they could drop the whole thing. It would need some UI reworks and stuff. But
yeah, cool. Joshy20, here he is. Genuine toss-up between Destiny Seasons of the Lost and Avengers Wakandan expansion. A combo of the two have been my first ever proper exposure to online multiplayer. Okay. Coincidentally, I play both with members of the ETTO team, but the Back Pocket community have provided a real safe space to explore this genre of game, which is true.
Oh, very nice.
Both our peeps are good with the multiplayers. It's very nice.
What a wholesome game of the year description.
I like playing game with friends.
That's so cool.
Totally. I played a bunch of Destiny with Joshy. I think I've played like 300 hours of Destiny in a few months.
Dang.
So that says it all, really.
Yeah. So that's why you had to drop a bit of Destiny in there. A little sprinkle of Destiny.
Yeah, totally. I just gotten really too deep into it. I'm now into like the armor mods and the stats on the armor and all that stuff. Like that's when you know you're in too deep.
I'll just play with those numbers.
I'm intrigued by the War for Wakanda DLC getting up there. That's pretty cool.
That's cool. It was good. It was all right. It was pretty good.
It was good.
Yeah. That game's dead. That game's dead. Terraformer. Terraformer votes for Metroid Dread, which is a good pick. It's definitely a lot of people's games of the year. And then finally, Emmy votes for Unpacking, which was absolutely my favorite game that I played this year. Just an absolute joy in every way. A simple, relatable concept, which was executed very well. Nice. That's very, very true.
Nice.
I'm still shocked Metroid Dread didn't win the game of the year, like
totally.
Keeley's. That's one thing. And then the other thing, considering no one's mentioned it at this point, I need to shout this game out. Forza Horizon 5, I feel like just needs a shout out. I think all three of us have played it.
Yep.
And I really enjoyed it. It was on my list for a long time. It probably could be game of the year for some people as well. Yeah. Like it's a very polished game that knows exactly what it's trying to be. But again, similarly to Death's Door, kind of just does that. Yeah. It's just like eventually I was like, okay, I just don't want to drive cars anymore.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Now that you've brought it up, probably should have been on my list. I forgot about that one. But
yeah, you put a lot of time into that thing.
I did. I loved that game.
We're not going to rank them because we've got a perfect 10 kind of pulled from all of our lists. I haven't talked to you guys about this, but I feel like there's a bit from everyone here.
Pretty good.
A bit from the patrons. It's our game, ETTO's Games of the Year. This is just all our games of the year, not specifically ranked, but pulled from our list. We've got Guardians, Unpacking, Ratchet & Clank, Rift Apart, Deathloop, Operation Tango, Inscription, Death's Door, Narita Boy.
There it is.
Metroid Dread, and I put Forza Horizon 5. It was Riders Republic.
Yeah.
I was listening to you, Dolphin Pants, but then of the two, like, driving things this year, Forza needs to be on there.
They are so similar in concept. Because they are basically nearly identical.
A world sort of some driving.
Yeah. And like, you've got your driver-tars or your rider-tars. I don't know what they call it.
I hope that sounds like a Pokemon.
Yeah, rider-tar. There is Rattata. Yeah. So basically they would probably come onto the same level, I guess. I would love to play more to see whether Riders Republic is as solid as Forza is in its execution. But, Forza have had 5 games plus all of their other Forza games to solidify what they do.
Yeah, so for sure.
Yeah, nice.
The one thing I would always vouch for Eternal to be on this list, but again, I acknowledge I'm the only one.
No, what do you want to kill? What should we kill to get Returnal on there? What can die on here? Because I was thinking about it, but I got to 10 and I'm like, well, I don't know where to put Returnal now. Do we kill Ratchet and Clank?
Was it on Josh's list?
It was on both. I think it was on all 3 of our lists.
Yeah. I wouldn't be against killing Ratchet and Clank for
Returnal. It's like an equally good PS5 experience.
Yeah. Again, I feel like they
that's about all I do.
Might be
but
on the same level.
Yeah.
Again,
to keep us all on this board. I mean, Lake's not there, but I'll let that pass. Let's put Returnal on there and let's call that a day. There is the ETTO's Games of the Year. I totally was a deep end. I was trying to find a place for Returnal, but I put Ratchet.
Yeah, no. I acknowledge it's tough because I looked at that and I was like,
it's a good list.
I don't know if I want to get rid of any of these.
Yeah.
I can let Ratchet slide. We all know it's good. We don't need to tell people it's good. These are the games that we need to tell people that they exist.
Yeah.
And I think that, totally, this is a very good
fun
list of that.
There's there's definitely some on there that people probably...
No one played Operation Tango.
Yeah, like normies probably haven't.
No one played Narita Boy.
Yeah, Narita Boy.
No one's playing that. No one will.
Nah. I'm just gonna put it over here.
Maybe.
Ironically, like my entries on this are the most generic, and I was looking at my Game of the Year list and was like, oh, mine's pretty like cool and unique.
It's a good little list.
like
that's cool. Very good.
Lake's on there now. Thanks everybody for watching our Games of the Year. Thanks for the submissions, patrons. Thanks for the year. It's been great.
It has. We have a bunch more of these to record today.
We do. So you'll see from this one to you'll be able to tell which one was shot first.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
And we'll be wearing the same clothes.
It'll just be damper.
The same clothes.
There they are. There it is.
Oh, Ben got it. He got the shirt.
There it is. There's Ben's shirt. Look at Ben's shirt.
Yeah, no, it does. It does show. If I eat cheese, my anus will sneeze.
It's so good. It's so good.
So good.
Famously,
my anus was sneezing the other night.
Jackbox.
Jackbox stream that one
looks
time.
so good.
So good. So
I don't think it was even from a stream. I think it was just from a patron hangout.
Yeah, that was offline.
In the Discord.
That's right.
Only the patrons know about that one.
Yeah.
And if you want to be a patron, you go to patreon.com/each to their own, just $3 and get you into our secret Discord. I said some of those words correctly.
Some of them.
And next year, you can tell us what your favorite games are. So that's how great the Discord is. You got to wait until December.
In 12 months.
Yeah, but it's worth it. It's worth giving us money for 12 months just so you can tell us what game you play.
Yeah.
We should also, because we're doing all of our like things of the year. And Will and I kept. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm just letting you happen.
Good,
letting you happen.
Will and I had like a spreadsheet of
Yes.
all of the things that we consumed just in general this year: books, comics, movies, shows, and games.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that next year myself.
Yeah, so we'll release that.
Yeah,
and we'll do that for next year as well.
Yeah.
Throughout the year, and we'll release it at the end of next year.
Yeah.
So if you want to be part of that, write down every freaking piece of media that you
it's a good idea.
consume throughout the year.
Or maybe I'll make the sheet available so you can make your own one.
Yeah,
like an
as a template.
Yeah, as a template.
Yeah.
I will also at some point. This is gonna be wild. At some point, I'll release my list of comics that I've read this year. Which is long, and I've got to work out a better way to format it because it's currently just a note on my phone, and it's
nice.
It's long, so that will come probably sometime in January.
There you go.
Nice.
Because I think I want to put it all into a spreadsheet.
Yeah. Sick.
That's what you're getting from me on the patrons.
There you go. Prep your eyes, everybody. But for now, that's been a great little podcast. And for now, I've been Will.
I've been Josh.
And I've been Ben.
For now, we're done.
For now.
Lake, game of the year.
Lake, game of the year. Yeah. Game of the year is what I said.